and we are live for a very special Pigs and Fergs wrestling podcast. We've got Piggy.
Hello, Hogan's gonna win, brother, I think.
Hell yeah, and we've also got Davian, aka Cringe God. How you doing?
Brothers!
Hell yeah. So, this show was not picked by myself or Piggy, it was picked by Davian. So, the first question I have to ask is, why did you make us watch this?
Because I wanted to try and find a bad show and force you guys to watch it.
Well, it's 3 hours of my life I'm not getting back, but we will give it to you in form of a recap and review. But also, what we're going to do is a nostalgia seg. So, Davian, you're fairly new, so, you know, this is what we do here on the podcast. We go through what was happening around the time. So, Piggy will go through the video games around the time, the action figures around the time, and what was happening on the competition. So, Piggy, what have you got in your research?
So, some Hasbros we have. We have Adam Bomb, Bart Gunn. We all know Bart Gunn. Our boy, Billy Gunn. Fatu, Ludwig Borga, Lex Luger, Razor Ramon, Mr. Perfect, Tatanka, Samu, I think I said that correctly, Undertaker, Ted DiBiase, and Yokozuna. Anyone have any memories of these?
I wasn't born around them at those times, so no, but I will say, I do remember Adam Bomb. My dad specifically does talk about wanting to get one of those figures, I will say, so, yeah.
I've never owned any of those. Never owned any of those. They're probably, I don't know how expensive they are. Are they going for mad bucks on eBay at the moment?
I actually don't know. I think they have they?
You know, I think Freggie is a big Adam Bomb guy, I bet, secretly.
I don't like to shill Adam Bomb. This podcast is only for shilling Jeff Jarrett and Monty Brown, unfortunately. But what wrestlers were going into the video game? Because I believe around this time was WWF Raw on the Game Boy, SNES, and a bunch of Nintendo systems, I believe. Do any of you have any recollection of this game whatsoever?
For people who want to know, it was developed by Sculpture Software, Real-Time Associates. Handheld versions were made by Acclaim. No, not the tag team. Acclaim Black Team, the 32X version. The publishers were Acclaim and Entertainment. The platforms were Super Nintendo, Entertainment System, 32X, Sega Genesis, Game Boy, and Game Gear. The Super NES released on November 94, and in the EU, December 94 for the Genesis. In North America, November 28, 1994. EU, November 1994, Game Boy. North America, 1994. EU, 1994 for the Game Gear. November 1994, EU, 1994 for the 32X. And North America, 1995.
I think my dad, I think he had one of them. I think he had one of the systems, but he has it for his own personal use to kind of remember his childhood. I don't really play on it much, but they are cool to look at when you see the games. You're like, oh man, this is such an old game system and stuff like that. So it is a cool thing to look at. My
dream was to have an arcade machine of, I believe it was the first WrestleMania game. You remember where they had like Hogan, Andre, and it was like an arcade machine? I've dreamt of finding one. I know it would probably be super expensive or super rare, but I've dreamt of having one. Not that I'd have any space for it or anything like that, but that's kind of the sort of retro gaming setup that I would like, is just a massive, not a Hogan shrine, but like with like a big arcade machine in my living room. But what was going on the competition, Piggy?
We're going to do the Raw before and then the Raw after, if that's all right with everyone. Well, it has to be.
I suppose, yeah. You're calling the shots.
The dark match saw Diesel, Hulk Hogan, defeat Sanoon. I'm probably butchering his name. Dark match saw PJ Walker defeat Gary Scott. Dark match saw...
Who were those guys?
Just incredible.
Oh my god!
You know, everyone's favourite, Gary Scott and PJ Walker. If you've not seen that WrestleMania 20 main event, like, where it had PJ Walker, Gary Scott versus Triple H and Shawn Michaels, it's a classic. The dark match also saw Bret Hart, who was champion at the time, defeat Jim Neidhart to retain the WWF Championship. Dark match saw Lex Luger Lex Luger defeat Tatanka. The main show saw Jeff Jarrett, Double J, our hero on this show, defeat Doink the Clown in 8 minutes and 53 seconds. Davey Boy Smith defeated Ray Ramon in 3 minutes and 31 seconds. Bob Sparkplug Holly defeat Reno Riggins in 2 minutes and 37 seconds. IRS defeat Tim McEnany in 1 minute and 54 seconds. The Heavenly Blonde, I nearly said the Heavenly Blondes. The Heavenly Bodies defeated Nick Barbari and Barry Horowitz in 2 minutes and 29 seconds. And your commentators were Vince McMahon and Mr. I Don't Have Any Scandals, Jerry Lawler.
See, we could have been watching this instead, and this probably would have been worse. So.
Incredible. Honestly, if we're going to be honest, man, Vince's commentary this time was so bad. I'm so thankful I picked a WCW show. So
yeah, Heenan. Getting to hear Heenan is good in any era, to be honest. So.
Yeah, so much better than Vince. Just doesn't know any of the moves' names. He says, "Wow."
That's my analysis on this podcast, actually. To be fair.
Wow.
Same with mine. We don't know moves. We just do Vince McMahon commentary. That's an entire shtick.
I know the headlock. I know the pounce. Those are the only two moves I need to know. And aside from that, I could just skim my way through it. Please don't give us the results of the other Raw. I get the gist of that card.
No, I'm giving you the results after the show.
Okay. All right. I'll just cut it afterwards and not tell you.
Does not want to hear this.
I barely want to hear about this show. What show is it? It's Halloween Havoc. And we've briefly spoken about why you chose this one. So you wanted why this era in particular were you thinking of? I know you are very into a lot of wrestlers on this show that had Vader, Terry Funk, and Hulk Hogan, all I'm sure. You're big into them, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm big into that. I'm also big into the WCW. New Japan Hogan matches. You've seen those, and I'm happy Hogan brought out some of his technical wrestling tonight. But yeah, that's for later on. This era was. It's such a silly era of kind of wrestling. It's weird, and knowing what they're fighting against WWE at the same time, it's crazy that I call that one silly. But it's just, I don't know. I think with the time with Hogan in it and stuff like that, it's just was really silly. And I also liked it because of I watched OSW, watched what their reviews on it, and from what I saw, it was a very fun time. So I also want to pick this because I thought, hey, you know what? It's a fun time. Maybe I'll get a couple of chuckles out of it with some buddies of mine. So, yeah.
And I have some questions, if that's all right.
Yes, it is all right.
So, just so people can get to know you better, I'm going to... have you ever seen Madagascar?
Yes.
The film?
Yes, I've seen the film Madagascar.
Do you know when they lock the main characters in a box?
Yes.
I'm basically going to do that to you. I'm going to lock you in a box with a VHS and a television, an old school television, them big bulky ones you can't lift. I'm going to lock you in a box. I'm going to send you off to a desert island. No, not Jeffrey Epstein's. I'm going to send you off to an island. Now, on this island, we're going to have 3 matches. What 3 matches would you want burnt onto this, and why would you want them burnt onto this disc, this VHS?
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, so the first one, Johnny Gargano versus what's his name? Johnny Gargano versus Andrade it was at Takeover Philadelphia for the NXT champion. That was one of the first matches I've ever my blood, my heart was pumping even harder. I could feel the energy. I was like, oh my God, I thought it was over. And so, yeah, that's one of the matches, especially after I met Johnny, and really nice guy. The next one, Terry Funk versus Bret Hart at Terry Funk's last match. Yes, that was a show name, and very ironic. That was not his last match. Yeah, that's another great match. And I think the final match I have to put on there is Halloween Havoc. Hulk Hogan versus Ultimate Warrior, and I'll tell you why. I have to have a moral coding for these matches, and I have to tell you how good these matches are compared to others. So to always remember those two are good, I have one bad one. And also because that match is so bad, it's funny to me.
That's quite a religious reason. You know, taking a sacrifice by having that match and then making you appreciate the good.
Yeah, you know what? Here's a little of a hot take of mine. I don't know how this is going to make people. I don't think that match is as bad as people say. It's not a good match, the Hogan versus Warrior, but it's nowhere as bad as, the one TNA match with the two girls in it?
Sharmell and Jenna Maraska.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that match, that match was, I legitimately had to turn off my TV and just sit there after a while.
-5 stars.
Well, you don't know classic wrestling. Hold on here. You don't know classic wrestling when it's handed to you on a plate. Two women, two great professional women, battling it out in that ring. You don't know what it was like for them women who have to go through abuse. You sat there and you went, I cannot watch this match. I watched that match and I cried. I cried like the Titanic sunk.
I didn't know where that was going at first. I was like, I thought you would be like, you mark, you don't want to watch two women, you want to watch wrestling? You mark.
You are a mark. You are a mark. You sit here, you thump your Bible, you say your prayers, you go, I don't want to watch two women. Two women. You'd watch two big sweaty men like Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior, but you won't watch these two women who I forgot the names of, but we won't say that. You won't sit there and watch that 5-star classic of theirs, but you'll sit there and watch Hogan and Warrior, one racist and one homophobic man. You, sir, are a mark for the business. You, sir, don't know wrestling.
If I ever get to pick another show, I'm going to pick that show for us to watch. So
Halloween Havoc, 98.
No, not that one. I'm picking the one with Sharmell's match on it.
Victory Road 2009. I know it off by heart because I'm a massive fan of that match.
Oh, yeah.
See, my co-host knows wrestling. You don't.
Kevin Nash jobs out AJ Styles on the very same show, so, you know.
Yeah, see?
We have to watch that. And that's off the top of my head, because obviously I'm a massive Jenna Maraska fan. So, speaking of crying tears of agony, someone is going to have to retire tonight forever. Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair, one of them will never wrestle again. Can you imagine the wrestling world without Hulk Hogan or Ric Flair? It's Hogan and Flair in the main event tonight. We're at the Joe Louis Arena for WCW Halloween Havoc 1994. It's October 23rd, 1994, as the name suggests. And we're only a year before Monday Nitro is going to begin. So this show, obviously, Davian picked it out. And there's some interesting stuff on here, looking at the match card. But before we get into any of it, we've got the WCW hotline plug. 1-900-909-9900. That's 1-900-909-9900. We've got Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Mean Gene doing the interviews backstage. And we've also got Muhammad Ali in the front row, the boxing legend about to witness an incredible night of professional wrestling action. And our opening contest is for the WCW World Television Championship. It's Johnny B. Bad defending against the Honky Tonk Man, Hogan's mate. It feels like every the theme of this show is there's always Hogan's mate in one of these matches at least. So, what are your thoughts on both Johnny B. Bad and the Honky Tonk Man before we get into this? I'll start with you, Piggy.
Moving on.
Davian, what are your thoughts on Johnny B. Bad and Honky Tonk Man? I love Johnny B. Bad. His song is so funny. I don't know why that song makes me laugh. Here comes Johnny B. Bad. I just like that. And then Honky Tonk Man is such a... I don't even know how to describe him wearing a singlet tonight is so random. That's all I have to say. He's wearing a singlet. He is notoriously a bitter man, and I would be surprised if he loses cleanly here tonight, but we'll see. You never know. There's a lot of... It does feel like a country bumpkin show, and I don't want to make that, I don't want that to offend anyone, but you know what I mean? It feels like with the theme songs and stuff, it's very, very southern, and it will take a couple years for WCW to try and not necessarily shake that image, but they were definitely still
the wrestling company, you know. So this matchup, we start off. There's only a 10-minute time limit as well for these TV title matches. So it's difficult to really describe these matches because a lot of them felt very samey. But I suppose that's just the nature of classic wrestling, or at least in early 90s wrestling. Any highlights from this match from either of you?
I'll go first. Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
No comment.
The fact that we're only on the first match and you're already tapping out is not a good sign.
Well, no, wait. I will say that my favorite part is when they're both it's actually at the end of the match, of course, when they're both just going at each other and just kind of punching each other. I thought that was a cool thing with like the end where they're both just trying to get like a kind of quick little, let me knock this guy out, let me cover him quickly. You know, I only got so many seconds. Like, that's a really cool way to end it. But then it kind of gets weird when Johnny B. Bad rolls him up right as like the bell like rings to describe the match is over. Like, he's just like, nah, it ain't over. Please count.
This match is also, the finish is shades of Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, you know, two technical masterclasses really coming at it, and then, you know, the time limit expires and they're both beating each other up. So I appreciate...
Are you saying Honky Tonk Man is a good wrestler?
I'm saying Honky Tonk Man is better than Kenny Omega.
Well, you, sir, can leave this call right now and go wash your mouth out with soap.
I'll wash my eyes out with more Honky Tonk Man matches, I think, after this showing. I'll be honest, I didn't think this match was that bad. Yeah, it was short, time limit draw, obviously. There isn't really a lot to talk about in this one. We do cut away mid-match to Sting being interviewed on the hotline, and he looks interesting. I don't know if you could describe his attire tonight, but he kind of looks like...
Jesus. I can describe it. Think IRS... if he was cool. Like, he has the weird sunglasses, he has the IRS outfit. It's better than the Crow Sting face paint. Like, it's up there with top 10. It's up there with the Christian Cage outfits, like.
I'd call this Jehovah's Witness Sting. I don't know if if you can kind of picture that in your mind. Hold on, I need to type in. What did you think of Sting's attire, Cringe God?
He looks like Ronnie Garvin in this attire.
Yes.
Looks like Robert Garvin. That's what I kind of take away from it. I also kind of just, like, I don't know what. He just kind of came out with these weird sunglasses, too. They have this weird little edge thing, but I don't know. He really got into the mood tonight, I guess.
Amish at the beach as well is what I've written. We got Muhammad Ali enjoying this match intensely. So, you know, Bad and Honky, they're battling it out. There's several rest holds in this matchup. There are a couple of... I do appreciate Honky Tonk Man's kind of mannerisms with the crowd. It's very old school, very Memphis. And that did keep me invested at least because the crowd were into it. So, you know, we get Johnny B. Bad. He's a great babyface. I think it's a simple match. And it does end in a draw, as you say. They kind of brawl afterwards, and Honky Tonk Man leaves the ring, but, you know, still the champion is Johnny B. Bad. So are we just going to have to move on from that? Any final thoughts on that opener?
One thing I will have to say is that after the beat up and assault, when Johnny B. Bad gets hit with the atomic drop for some reason, it doesn't affect him. I was like, what? That's when it doesn't affect him. And he just beats up Honky Tonk Man afterwards, and I was like, why did it not affect him there?
Is it a storyline aspect that he's got no testicles or something? Is that what the gimmick is?
He's a trans male, that's it.
Okay. We move on to Mr. T coming out of a restaurant with Ric Flair. Oh, Mr. T. Mr. T.
Oh, they're dating.
What?
They're dating. Ric Flair and Mr. T. Kissing underneath the mistletoe. So yeah,
it's shameful that WCW have outed them both. But yeah, that's still a conflict of interest if Mr. T is dating Ric Flair, because Mr. T has to officiate the main event tonight.
So it's such a big thing that Ric Flair and Mr. T are dating. How dare WCW just stalk them at this restaurant and just take pictures?
Yeah, it's not on. It's not on at all. I'm against it, but I'm sure we'll hear from Ric Flair later tonight. First of all, my least favourite match on the show. Up next, it's the WCW World Tag Team titles, Stars and Stripes versus Pretty Wonderful. Stars and Stripes, that's Marcus Bagwell, aka Buff the Stuff before his buff days, teaming up with the Patriot, I think it's the same Patriot from WWF, taking on Pretty Wonderful, that's Paul Roma and Paul Orndorff. So, the patriotism, Stars and Stripes, as an American, Davian, did it get your blood pumping?
Oh, I saw the Patriot and Buff Bagwell come out, and I was like, oh man, this is, they seem like a cool team. And then I saw they had a tag champion, so I'm like, man, the tag division of this time was really rough. They had to give these boys the champions. When these two came out, it's like, I haven't seen either of them wrestle a match. So, I was kind of actually curious to see this young Buff Bagwell, Buff is the stuff indeed, as you said. So I was very excited to see him come out here. This was before he got his calf implant injury. So, thankfully, this is the last time I think you're going to see a young one without his beard. With Bruce Bagwell? No, Buff Bagwell.
Piggy, your thoughts?
3 shit wrestlers in the Patriot.
Are you a Patriot fan?
Oh, even though I'm not American, he's like the best wrestler out of the three of them. Never was a fan of Buff the Stuff Bagwell, I don't know who the other two are, and I quite frankly don't care to know who the other two are.
Paul Orndorff main evented the first ever WrestleMania, so... And Paul Roma was...
I know Paul Orndorff a little bit, but I don't really care.
Paul Roma was the most important member of the Four Horsemen as well.
No, that was Mongo.
Oh, of course. Well, he's up there.
What?
So...
Mongo
McMichael. This is years before Mongo McMichael. But I will say as well, it's weird to see... The good thing about this pay-per-view... I won't be saying that a lot, but the good thing about this pay-per-view is that you can see the early stages of a lot of wrestlers. So you can see this is only 4 years before wrestling booms, and you've got Bagwell, young here, you've got Hogan before he turns heel, Steve Austin on this show too, Vader as well, still in his prime, and then you've also got the likes of, Johnny B. Bad before he becomes Mark Mero, and all these characters that will be kind of mainstays in 1998, but they're not quite fine-tuned yet. I don't know what was the most shocking one throughout the night, because we talked about Buff Bagwell a little bit. What was your, oh damn, I forgot how much they've changed over this period of time? What do you think, Davian?
Probably Steve Austin on this show. I actually thought the job against Jim Duggan was his last match. So when I saw this one, I was like, what? I also saw when he had hair and stuff like that. It's such a big thing to see. It's like, wow, him having hair is just a magnificent sight to see. He looked good with the hair, honestly, but at the same time, he does look way better bald. So, yeah, that one was a big shock. Buff Bagwell was also a bit of a shock, too, just because he looked so young here. But, yeah, I think Austin, I'd have to say, was the biggest shock of this night. Still one of the greatest ones on the card, though, Austin was.
Yeah, actually, that is true. This match, like we've already kind of discussed, it was a bit too long for my liking. I didn't enjoy it as much as the opener, as much as you can enjoy the opener, I guess. There was I think there was a botched elbow at one point from Paul Roma, and then Bagwell tried to hit a crossbody and changed the move mid-move. There was Mr. Wonderful stopping the comeback. There was a nice elbow at the end when Roma hit Bagwell from the top rope with the elbow. And then we had a title change, so the new tag team champions are Pretty Wonderful, but yeah, like you said, not really anything to talk about in this match. It was just standard tag fare. The crowd was a bit dead for it too, so I wasn't too into it and it went a bit too long. Piggy, what about you? What do you think of this?
I wasn't paying attention to this match. I was just listening to this match. I was like, I don't want to know what these wrestlers are doing unless the Patriot is having a singles match.
Oh. Are we going to have to do a Patriot arc?
No, we can't. We've enough arcs for the next 2 years.
No, yeah, fair enough. We could do a Buff Bagwell arc. Ooh.
No.
Oh, okay.
roll your horse and go the other way.
Okay. All right, fine. Well, you know what? We do get an interesting segment up next. We've got Ric Flair and Sherri in the back. Ric Flair, he's just styling and profiling. Any highlights from this interview? Or is it just a standard Ric Flair?
I loved Ric Flair and Sherri together. I think they both matched each other with perfectly the amount of craziness with one another. Both them just screaming at one another, then both them going, woo! It was so incredibly. I thought this was a very entertaining promo. Also, respect to Mean Gene. He's such a good interviewer.
Yeah, they definitely got... Because this is also around the time they start bringing in, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but they start bringing in 80s guys from the WWF, and Mean Gene is one of the best pickups they got. He really made these interviews feel important. And Ric Flair, Sherri, yeah, like you said, Sherri, she seems to work well with anyone, really, whether it be Randy Savage, Shawn Michaels, and now Flair, just an absolute legend. And, you know, Ric Flair, he's great in it, so that's fair enough there. And I know that, Piggy, you're excited for this next matchup. Talk about the build. Why is this next matchup happening?
What is the next matchup, sorry?
It is Kevin Sullivan versus David Sullivan. Battle of Brothers.
Oh yeah, I was excited for this match. The alleged killer versus the Hogan lover.
Which one's which?
Well, David Sullivan is the Hogan lover, and then Kevin Sullivan, of course, is allegedly supposed to be involved with the Purple Liger incident.
I would assume that Kevin Sullivan, though, probably likes Hulk Hogan too.
Have you seen the Dungeon of Doom?
Oh, of course. Not in kayfabe. I mean, in real life. The best theme song in wrestling history belongs to David Sullivan. So, you know, Piggy. By the way, Davian, Piggy on our Christmas special absolutely nailed the opening song, and you've got some singing experience, don't you? So can you remember and can you recite the "I Want to Be a Hulkamaniac" song, please?
I can Google the lyrics now.
If you Google the lyrics, we'll talk about the match briefly, and then you can sing it afterwards, because it truly is a highlight of this show. There is not really a lot to this match either. They kind of go through the motions. Kevin Sullivan seems to be the one really taking control, but Dave Sullivan does Hulk up. If you squint, you can kind of see it's Kevin Sullivan versus Hulk Hogan. Like, if you'd had a few too many bevs and you were just like passed out on the sofa and you're watching this, you could maybe be mistaken into thinking this was Hulk Hogan in this match. The winner via count out is Dave Sullivan because he managed to get back in the ring, but it was short, so I can't really complain. What did you think about it, Davian?
I can't believe I'm going to say this. This was one of the best matches on the card, I thought.
I'm not even joking. Yeah, I'd agree just because it was entertaining, you know?
Okay, so David Sullivan was kind of the first shades of what's his name? Of kind of Eugene, I went ahead and thought. I thought that he was one of the first shades of a Eugene character. And not only that, kind of like an interesting one, because the thing with him is just that he was like, I don't know, I just thought he was kind of a bit like a much more interesting. I don't know. I thought this match was cool. Okay, not cool. Let me go ahead and rephrase that. I thought this match was a very intriguing match, and it had a lot more stuff because it felt more personal. And while I will say that the ending was so terrible, somehow Kevin forgets to get in the ring quicker than David. I don't even know how he managed to fumble this up. He's a smarter one, and he got outsmarted by the one who is not smarter. How?
Exactly. But I will say, TNA rehashed this angle somewhat 16 years later. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What? I don't think I do. You're going to have to tell me this one.
David Sullivan walked so that the monster Abyss in his Hall of Fame ring could run. That's right, I'm talking about Abyss being obsessed with Hulk Hogan's TNA ring. That's an arc we're doing, isn't it, Piggy?
Oh, yeah. That's an arc.
So you got the lyrics, sing it.
I wanna be a Hulkamaniac. Have fun with my family and friends. I wanna be a Hulkamaniac. Have fun with my family and friends. If you wanna be a Hulkamaniac, I can sure tell you how to stay on track. You've got to train, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. These are all the things the maniacs do. Positive thoughts and positive deeds. These are the things that make you succeed. Always be good to your family and friends. They're the only ones that'll be there in the end. I wanna be a Hulkamaniac. Have fun with my family and friends. I wanna be a Hulkamaniac. Have fun with my family and friends. When you're looking for something cool to do, just pick good friends to be with you. You better watch out where you're at. You might be judged where you hang your hat. Can you feel the music? Can you feel the beat? You don't need drugs to move your feet. When a dealer tried to push on you, just tell him what you're gonna do. I wanna be a Hulkamaniac, maniac. Have fun with my family and friends. Have fun with my family and friends. I wanna be a Hulkamaniac, maniac. Have fun with my family and friends. Try to do good and every day. Don't give them nothing bad to say. Always go swimming with a buddy. Work real hard, always study. If you want to be real cool, don't be stupid and play the fool. Get your education each and every day. These are all the things the maniacs say. If you want to be a Hulkamaniac, maniac. If you want to be a Hulkamaniac, have fun with my family and friends. If you want to be a Hulkamaniac, have fun with family and friends. That's it.
Incredible.
Hulk Hogan had a little too much fun with his family and friends and it got caught on tape. Next up, Arn Anderson Van Meng, with Meng rather, taking on Dustin Rhodes. Meng and Robert Parker, a bit weird to have alongside Arn Anderson, but I love Arn Anderson. I quite like this match. Again, like I was saying as well before about Vader and Terry Funk, another name slipped my mind. It's Arn Anderson. That's, again, your guy, isn't it, Davian?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I think I liked requesting him. I requested him, I think, it's a couple of times because I really love Arn Anderson. I think he was a really cool wrestler. Shame he never got pushed more. But I will tell you, when I was watching this show, I was writing down the notes and stuff like that. I verbally was I saw the whatever package. It was not a hype package, but it was just showing events. I was like, oh, okay, so they're talking about this. And then as soon as I saw Arn come out by himself, I'm like, oh my God, we're getting Arn Anderson versus Dustin Rhodes, in their prime, basically. Oh, this match is going to be awesome.
This match was pretty good. I mean, compared to what we've seen already, it wasn't... Yeah.
This was a freaking, 78-star match compared to, the last match.
Oh, tell me about it, yeah. So... We've got Dustin Rhodes as the natural here, still a young baby boy compared to what he'd become. I mean, he's facing Arn Anderson, who's, wily veteran, using underhanded tactics to gain the upper hand. Things go outside, Dustin dodges a move and Arn hits the post, and then we go back inside. Rhodes is trying to focus on the arm, works it over. Dustin misses a move, and then, momentum takes him over. So we've got a double clothesline, double down. It's a very... it's quite an old school match in the way it's put together. I do appreciate the little sort of simplicity in the babyface versus the heel. Obviously, Arn Anderson betrayed Dustin Rhodes. And funny enough, that's the exact same thing that happened to Sting at the hands of Ric Flair. So maybe he could have learned. But alas, maybe he's just stupid. The lariats are looking crisp. The DDT block, oh my God, Arn Anderson has the best DDT in wrestling. I know people say Jake Roberts, but I'd say Arn Anderson. What about you?
Arn is a good one. You also have to kind of think about The Rock as well.
Oh, yeah.
Rock has a... trying to think of... Mason Ryan also has a really good DDT as well. You got to take that one in as well.
Nope.
Mason Ryan.
Mason Ryan.
Oh, Bobby Roode that I used in my
yeah.
bed. Oh.
Yeah. We're doing the Mason Ryan arc as well, I think.
Yes.
We have too many arcs.
Well, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
We'll get to them in 2025 when Avengers 5 and 6 come out. How about that?
Okay. By that time, Mason Ryan...
And Tobey Maguire returns with Wolverine, and then...
Yeah.
And then I don't know.
Funny enough, Mason Ryan was doing a local indie show, near me, the other, because I went past a shop window. This was like a month or two ago, I think, and I went past a shop window and I went, "Is that Mason Ryan?" And he was performing in the gym like a couple miles down the road. So there you go. I didn't end up going and seeing him, but I would have loved to have met him, got his autograph. Anyway, enough Mason Ryan. You know, this is the last time that Mason Ryan's going to be compared to Arn Anderson, all right? It's an interesting finish. Dustin, he goes for a knee drop and misses, so Anderson rolls him up, tries to use the ropes, and then it's stopped by the official. So Dustin Rhodes then catches him off guard and rolls him up for the free. So yeah, I thought it was quite fun. It was definitely more entertaining than the matches previous. And if this was on any other show, I might not find it as interesting. Piggy, what are your highlights of this match, if you did pay attention to it?
I think I was eating pork pies during this match, I think.
You're a pig! That's cannibalism.
No, it's not. Pork pies are delicious.
I'm not a cannibal. Human meat is delicious.
I am no cannibal, but Jeffrey Dahmer does have a good cookbook.
Oh, Jesus.
Regardless of the human meat.
He was my mother's specialist. That's why she picked me.
Jesus. Can you talk about this match instead of cannibalism and abuse?
We're talking about the 5-star classic, my mother versus me.
Oh, jeez. Next up, you know what? We're moving forward. We're moving forward. I'm not even going to acknowledge it. Next up, Arn Anderson, he does attack Dustin Rhodes after the match. And the natural... Oh, God, Dustin Rhodes' theme song, too. That's a banger.
Yeah, I was listening to that. I was like, man, this song felt like you knew it beforehand. But in reality, you've never listened to this. I thought it was really cool. But I wanted to actually tell you something you forgot to mention. The Aloha arm spot performed.
You did it, of course.
Yeah, that happened.
Oh my God.
It was with...
How many times must he have done this spot?
He done it like years.
Yeah.
It is his spot, honestly.
But yeah, we got Aloha on, that was fantastic. And then backstage we're with Hulk Hogan, Brutus Beefcake, and Jimmy Hart. Well, let me tell you something, brother. I want to hear your best impression of Hulk Hogan. Go. No, Piggy first.
Okay.
Me first?
Yeah, Piggy first.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. I was in a sex tape, brother. And you know, it was the greatest thing I was ever in, brother. I might have said some things, brother. But I tell you what, brother. It was the greatest night of my life, brother. Them allegations are not true, dude. You need to take your vitamins, say your prayers, and say racist things, and be like the Hulkster, brother.
Okay. Want me to go now?
Yes.
Ready for my impression?
Yeah.
You're ready, yes.
Well, let me tell you something, brother. Dude, Jack, I am the greatest professional wrestler of all time. Dude, brother, Jack. I am Hulk Hogan, brother. And those allegations about steroids use, no, brother. I am not a steroid user or abuser. Though I have used steroids in the past, brother, to help me with my surgery. So yeah, brother, totally didn't do steroids, brother.
He looks...
Oh, also.
Yes.
You're awesome.
Hell yeah.
He said that in the sex tape at the end of it. He goes ahead and says, man, you're awesome.
When are we doing that arc? When are we reviewing that for the podcast?
Hulk Hogan 6. Come on, Farker. We need to hear your Hulk Hogan impression. You're the man who does a impression in MLW. Come on.
Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. I was stitched up. I was framed. I never said those things, brother. I'm bad at getting impressions, okay? But I thought I did a alright job. I can do Steve Austin and Jim. It's a bit dire. I'm not gonna lie. Let's move on.
I request Jim Duggan. I just want you to talk like Jim Duggan. I want you to know, talk like yourself. Don't change anything about the Jim Duggan voice. Just talk like yourself.
I'm here to represent the US of A. Ho.
Yes.
Let me tell you something, brother.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene.
Well, you know something, Mean Gene.
The earth is not flat, brother. You know, you kind of have to look at this, brother. the moon landing is fake. It was man-made in a studio. I tell you that, brother. It was CGI, brother. But the fake news outlets who turned the frogs gay, brother. I tell you something now, Mean Gene. I tell you now, the FBI are wanting me, Mean Gene. They say I look like Moses. They say, brother, I stood there and I said, well, let me tell you something, God. Let my people pass, brother. And I fucking lifted the water, brother. And I set my people free. No longer slaves, no longer rulers. My people were free when I parted that sea, brother.
That's just a transcript of the promo he cut.
Reggie, I want to play some holy music when you're editing this at some point. Play holy music in like the back of that whenever he's singing that or saying those words, because that would just be incredible.
Do you know what else was incredible? This United States Championship match. It's Hacksaw Jim Duggan versus Stunning Steve Austin. We get ho. Steve Austin's rematch. He dropped the belt to Jim Duggan at Full Brawl, and we saw the whole match. So we've got 2 Jim Duggan versus Steve Austin matches. Yes, it was a squash where Jim Duggan, it was Ricky Steamboat who wasn't able to compete. Austin had to defend against Hacksaw, so he did, and it ended up being like 10 seconds, and Jim Duggan beat him. So that was quite an infamous moment.
He lasted as long as Hulk Hogan did in the bedroom.
Well, he lasted a bit longer. He had plenty of time to... it doesn't matter. Never mind. We're going to move on from the Hulk Hogan stuff.
Frankie is actually a master of this, and he actually watched that tape multiple times.
He had to watch that tape to anime NLW. Like, he's like, the decisions in this would really work well for the Kenny Omega Shawn Michaels match. Plus the angle there on the bollocks will work great for Shawn Michaels versus Kenny Omega. I tell you that. The main event. Yeah. I tell you, it's going to be like the sex tape.
In terms of how orgasmic and pleasure-inducing it will be for people to watch because of how great it is, that's why. There you go. I'm good. I'm the king of segues, baby. Duggan applies a sleeper to Austin immediately, but he wriggles free, so they're working over the knee. It's a fairly basic matchup. There's a lot of kind of hot dogging, grandstanding, what have you, from Hacksaw Dim Duggan. He's a very... Did I call him Dim Duggan? I'm not calling him stupid, but he's basically a very... a simple wrestler, and not in a bad way. He's just fundamentally, he's the USA guy. He's giving the thumbs up with a 2x4. So eventually, Austin's like a shell of what he would become as well in terms of like his character work. There is still, even in his promo he cut just before, like from the Full Brawl episode, he is very. There's elements of Steve Austin in there, Stone Cold Steve Austin. So
what?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Can you do
that man you should hire for NLW? He can do a better Steve Austin impression than you can.
I know. Can you do Steve Austin if he was from Ireland?
Oh no, sorry. I got on the Lewis the other day. What? I said I got on the Lewis the other day. What? I took a cab. What? I took a taxi. What? I took myself to the inn. The Curragh Inn. What? I got myself a vodka. What? I got myself a Red Bull. What? I got myself a Sherry. What? I got myself a Bulmers. What? I got myself a Steve Weiser. What? I got myself a Budweiser. What? I got myself a Coors Light. What? I got myself a Coppin Bar. What?
We're cutting it there. That was a good impression. Thank you. So Austin, he's up against the ropes. Jim Duggan runs at him. Austin backdrops him to the outside. And it's over. It's the Jim Herd over the top rope disqualification rule. Why? It's over. What did you think? Really? What about the whole match as a whole? Not just the finish.
It's boring.
Yeah.
I can't tell you what I was doing when this match took place.
Oh no.
I was cutting potatoes, but the point of it is...
I've heard Fergal cut potatoes before. I tell you, no one can cut potatoes like him.
Absolutely not. I do it during the breaks of this podcast. The the winner via disqualification is Jim Duggan. He ain't losing, folks. He is going to continue to put himself over somewhat, and he retains his title, which is quite silly. And yeah, a very stupid finish, but a bad match. Not a bad match, just a nothing match, really. Austin does try and attack him after, but then he gets run out of the ring like a 2x4 because he's a geek. That Steve Austin, he ain't going to amount to much, I don't think.
Yeah, this was worth a tag match, in my opinion.
Yeah.
At least you had Steve Austin in it, like, at least I could watch this match, kind of.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But do you know what? This next match I really liked. It's the Guardian Angel, a.k.a. the Big Boss Man, taking on Big Van Vader with Harley Race. And we get a big recap of this feud. It feels like the Guardian Angel and Vader have been beating each other up for months and months and months. So Vader does make his entrance and he kind of goes, "Who's the man?" to Sting and Muhammad Ali, and Ali is saying, "Nah, you're the man," which is quite nice to say, "Yeah, you're the man" to Vader, like Vader getting his props. It's quite nice. Yeah.
I thought Antonio Inoki was the man, like, since he did fight Muhammad Ali.
That's true. And Antonio Inoki was also the man who was battered by Vader in his debut, so there you go. All full circle. So, the Guardian Angel, what do you think about this gimmick?
Does he relate to the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels?
Different angel.
Oh my god, I have the perfect idea for a faction.
Oh.
The Angels.
All I heard was the Anals, not the Angels.
No, the Angels, not the Angels. It'd be a totally different faction. We know Val Venus is the leader of that faction. But to quickly talk about the Guardian Angel, this, I did not like the idea. I mean, I got the gimmick. I got it. They needed to get, like, another idea for a gimmick, since originally he was just the boss, which I don't know how they did not get sued quicker, but they didn't until, obviously, they got sued for the change the name, change it to the Guardian Angel, where Boss Man just wears just clothes. He wears city clothes on his body. He does not even have to change. He just has to put on some red coat and stuff like that, and he's good, basically. Like, the Bubba Rogers character is a million times better of, like, a character than this, I feel. Don't know if that's a hot take or not. Actually, it isn't even a hot take, because nobody cares about the Guardian Angel.
No, and it feels like he's trying to be a face, but he does a lot of heelish things in this match. Like, he's attacking Harley Race. He's not really doing anything, to be honest. There's a lot of big, beefy men slapping meat in this match. It's good. Yeah. So, Vader, absolute boss. Vader hitting suplex. No, it's Boss Man who suplexes Vader, which is quite impressive. And then Vader just comes back with some massive punches. What can you expect from Vader other than that, really? He jumps off the second rope but gets caught with a body slam. It's pretty impressive that they're just able to lift each other with ease. And the crowd's into it, to be fair. The Boss Man hits a second rope headbutt for 2. And Boss Man hits an Insiguri. That's pretty insane. Knocking Vader outside as well. There's a Vader bomb. And that only gets a 2 count, which I was really surprised by. I thought that was over. He tries again, but then Boss Man gets the knees up. Didn't Vader at one point hit a moonsault? He went, well, at least he went for a moonsault. I don't know if he actually hit it or not, but that was impressive too. Vader has him where he wants him. And splashes him and wins. So Vader wins in a short amount of time, 8 minutes. It was basic, but they were, it was fine. I liked it. I just like big, meaty men beating up each other. So what did you think of it? First of all, Piggy.
Sorry, I was distracted by a cider advert.
You're playing up the Irish stereotype of being an alkie.
Hey, hold on here. You're the one who told us for the Christmas podcast to get drunk.
Shh. That's not canon. That's not canon to Pigs and Fergs.
This man, the man in this call is underage. He cannot drink till he's 21. And you're calling me the alcoholic when you wanted this man who's underage to drink.
I'm max 46.
That exactly,
no,
and
you're not.
And also that didn't happen. That's not true, and I will cut it because this is my podcast. The one I'm editing it. Haha. What did you think
I
of
will sneak the screenshots, brother.
it?
Don't worry.
I will screenshot our audio. Take that.
Boom. What do you think of this match, though?
Oh, I'm a big fan of 80. I am a big fan of 80, but not a big fan of Big Bubba Rogers.
Yeah, not big. Nah, big bubbly boo. Is he? Skip, scap, skibbity bop.
I'm a scat man.
Boop-a-da-ba. A little bit of the bubbly. A little bit of the bubbity.
Little bit of the meat men slapping meat. What did you think, Davian? You love Vader, don't you?
Yeah, I love Vader. Yeah, I think you can tell because one of my favorite matches I requested from you was with Vader. So I'm definitely a big Vader fan. This was definitely a big, beautiful, physical match. I just love how the Guardian Angel just at random points just stops and says, you know what? I want to beat up an old man, and just gets out of the ring and starts violently beating up Harley Race for no reason. As sometimes I felt.
Is that a reference? Is that a reference to the oppressive police state of the United States, or am I reading too much into it?
Right now, if it was right now.
Moving on.
Okay, but a decent match, a decent big slapping meat match. Bunkhouse Buck and Terry Funk, 3 of the 4 men in this match, I can smell through the screen. And I'm not talking about Terry Funk. So, yeah, I don't know. Bunkhouse Buck, I don't get it. What is he?
He's supposed to be like, you know, one of the bunks, I guess, in like a house or something. He's a bunk bed, actually. Apparently, he's supposed to be a bunk bed, I think.
Okay.
I have no idea, honestly. I got no idea what Bunkhouse Bunk even is. Apparently, maybe he's beating. I got no idea.
Well, you know what? Terry Funk, my favourite person in this match, the one who made this match for me. You've got Robert Parker accompanying, and Meng as well, accompanying Bunkhouse Buck and Terry Funk, and they're taking on the Nasty Boys. I've completely forgotten about Terry Funk in this period of time. Like, I didn't know what he was doing here. So, the Nasty Boys, never really been a fan of the Nasty Boys, and I know Brian Knobbs is funny enough, a bit of a knob. So, yeah, this match didn't really do a lot for me, although I did appreciate Terry Funk just being completely insane and beating up his own partner just for the hell of it, and just, yeah, every time he gets beaten up, his selling's great. He's the only one I'm paying attention to in this match, because I'm not vibing with it too much, although the finish is pretty good. You know, you're getting the Halloween theme. Do you want to describe the finish to this match, Piggy?
He basically sits on basically drops him on a pumpkin and that's it.
Yeah, it was fine, but the pumpkin spot made it, and Terry Funk made it as well, but not the worst match on the card. What do you think, Davian?
Was there still like the big like root on top of the pumpkin there as well?
I think so as well. That's extra impact on the pile driver, you see.
Nah, he sat on that pumpkin. You know, I forgot what Nasty Boy this was. I think it was the blonde-head one. He said, I want to have a good time. Bam! Sat right on it. Terry Funk's like, I had no collision. Exactly.
If anything, it softened the impact.
Yeah, I think honestly, Funk should have just gone up and said, oh, thank you there.
Yeah, but I would have no-sold it.
Funk is legitimately like so good. Like, he is, like, out of all these wrestlers in this match, I am disappointed that he is this. He's only here on the card. He should have been fighting a guy like, I would have had him against Vader or somebody. Like, I know that would have been different, but, like, just to have, like, someone like Funk fight a big guy and just go out there, like, it disappoints me that he's this on the card. He is with Bunkhouse Bunk, which, you know is funny? When Terry Funk wasn't in this group, guess who they replaced him with?
Who?
Dirty Dick Slater.
Yummy. Speaking of Dirty Dick, Hulk Hogan. Never mind. We've got the
You
like Hogan's Dirty Dick, don't you?
Oh, hey. Save it for our save it for the review. Save it for the review.
Piggy, what is your thought on Dirty Dick Slater?
Who?
Dirty Dick Slater. You know, one of your favorite wrestlers of all time.
I've never heard of the man.
We'll have to do. We'll do. So we've got Mason Ryan arc, Dirty Dick Slater arc. We'll get them all done, I'm sure. But yeah, a fine match. Terry Funk is way better than anyone in this match. Hey, and also Sting wasn't on this card. I don't know if he was injured, but why not have Terry Funk versus Sting? That would have been insane.
Could have had a baby MJF versus Sting.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
true.
MJF isn't
MJF
born
isn't
yet.
even born yet.
He could have his dad's testicles versus Sting then.
Oh man, that's the match we've been waiting for. I can only imagine, just imagining the match graphic that would look.
This is a testicle heavy episode. I'm going to move on before we continue. The segment up next is Muhammad Ali in the ring with an award. Oh, that's nice. It's nice to have him there. And then we come on to the main event. It's for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
I thought that was going somewhere else. We come on. I was like, Jesus, Brady, where are you going?
Not enough. Too many testicle. Yeah, move on.
Not enough coming on this episode.
For the love of God, we are in the main event. It is the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, career versus career steel cage match.
Hulk Hogan in his sex tape.
Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart and no Brother Bruti by his side. Oh well, I'm sure he's got other things going on. You know, let's forget about why he's not out here. Taking on Ric Flair with Sherri Martel. And so we've got two legends of the ring. I don't know, do you want me to run through it and then give your thoughts, or do you want to give your thoughts on this match first?
Oh, also, don't forget, one of these two men's, this will be one of the two men's last match of their career ever.
Ever? Yeah, we never see, one of them we'll never see again. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I don't want to, actually, no spoiler alert. We'll get through the match first.
Also, don't forget Mr. T, our referee.
Oh my God, of course, Mr. T as well. He's the referee. Do you want to describe his outfit?
Somehow is better than the one at the Starcade. This one's so much better. Honestly, he should have worn his Starcade. This should have been his Starcade gear here, and this should have been the gear he wore when he wrestled Kevin Sullivan.
Is that the ones where he was wearing pajamas?
Yeah, he was wearing pajamas, but not only that, they were ref-colored shirts. And he had a ref-colored hat, too, like one of the sleepy hats you go to sleep with.
Yeah.
He had one of those. Why was he wrestling in the match?
Like a cartoon.
Yeah, he's extreme. That kind of makes sense now. If that's the case, because maybe he's trying to relive, like, yes, I am a cartoon. Exactly kind of like what Warrior did, if you kind of think of it in a weird way.
Yeah. Piggy, what Mr. Man is Mr. T?
Oh, I have to Google Mr. Man. Hold on here.
Google your Mr. Men and then get back to me at the end of this match. So, we start off the match. Sorry, we've got a segment where we got to decide which Mr. Men is who, because I called Randy Orton Mr. Tickle on an episode, and can you understand why I would call Randy Orton Mr. Tickle, Davian?
Mr. Tickler.
Mr. Tickle, because he's got long arms. He's an orange blob and he's got long arms.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, that wouldn't make sense, honestly, now looking at it, now imagining, yeah.
Yeah, because the way he moves. I would say Hulk Hogan, probably Mr. Strong, I would say.
He's Mr. Scatterbrain as Hulk Hogan.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
I know which Mr. Man Ric Flair is.
Who is it?
He's Little Miss Giggles.
Yeah? Why is that, though?
Because of the Plane Ride from Hell episode.
Oh my God.
He's like, so much editing.
I know, it's so annoying because I have to go through, like, every episode and just try and make sure, on the off chance that one of the probably 10 people who see this, I don't know, will be like, oh, well, that's not on. I'm trying to keep it, I'm trying to keep a family-friendly brand.
Fuck your family-friendly brand.
Whatever, it's already gone off the rails. This match, though, unlike the pay-per-view, this is a really good main event, just in my view. We've got just some of the highlights here. He gets into a shoving match with Mr. T, does Hogan, because he thinks that Mr. T is working with Ric Flair, although we know they are in a homosexual relationship, as we've already established. Flair hits a pretty nice suplex on Hogan. I think Hogan looks really good here compared to other matches I've seen of his. He crotches Flair on the top rope, and it's kind of like a house show steel cage match, but I mean that in a good way, in that it hits the points that you need in a main event match. So we've seen him, he does a lot of heelish stuff in this match, though, Hogan, but that's just the least of it. We'll get to it later on. Flair chopping away at Hogan. Hogan hulks up for the first time. Flair tries to escape Although the only way to win in this match is pinfall or submission, which I quite like. But it's the cage became a moot point towards the end. Hogan catches up to Flair and lights him up with chops. Flair rallies, removes Hogan's knee, and then Mr. T tries to stop him, but shoves him down, and that's when you're like, oh, Mr. T's trying to play it fair. So after Mr. T is shoved down Ric Flair, Flair applies the figure 4, but then Hogan he's firing up, and he reverses it. And we get a couple of shots as well of weird-looking Sting and Muhammad Ali in the crowd, and then you cut back to Mr. T and Hulk Hogan hulking up and in a steel cage. My missus said it's like if an AI was to create a wrestling match. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is fair.
And then Mr. T gets battered by mistake. Flair then stomps out Mr. T. Why?
Here's why.
Let me ask Teddy Long that question. Teddy Long, please explain to me why Ric Flair would beat Mr. T. Oh my god. See, that's a messed up joke.
It's not a joke, it's a fact. It's a fact. Google it is all I'll say. But yeah. Two, I wouldn't say not necessarily two allies of the Black Cause between Flair and Hogan from what they've done and said.
Quite actually.
And just battering Mr. T. I don't know if it sends a great look. Either way, this is WCW in the South in the 90s. Context is key. And, if you think that was bad, Sherri tries to climb in. Jimmy Hart tries to pull her down and then, woo, removes her dress. Oh, and you see her bottom. What did you think, Piggy?
I'm just looking at Mr. Main characters.
Oh, okay.
I mean, listen.
What Mr. Man or Little Miss is Sherri?
Little Miss Naughty.
Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. And she's looking naughty because her dress has been removed. Oh dear. Sting then brings her down. And the masked man then comes out from under the ring and wallops Hart and Sting. And then, holy shit, Sherri jumps from the cage.
I wish Hogan did what he did to Macho Man in 1997, where he just no-sells it, but he just walks away and she just lands on the mat. It doesn't even catch her like he did to Randy Savage.
He did kind of no-sell it though. What did you think of this, David? I was not expecting Sherri to do a bloody jump off the top of the cage.
I mean, it goes to show how kind of Sherri kind of just was made herself that bigger deal. She wanted to show that she is up there, and it's crazy how she never ever kind of this is kind of her biggest highlight of her career if you kind of think of it.
Yeah, I would say so.
I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing to say, but she was always kind of around the main event scene. If you look at it, if you look at it, she was always around the main event scene. So honestly, Jesus, she was probably getting paid more than a lot of other guys around this time. So good for Sherri, honestly.
I would hope
the
so.
Risk. Good for her.
Yeah, I'd hope so. She's definitely one of the better performers of the time, male or female. She's doing great stuff. And Flair does get back up and stomps on Mr. T again for some reason. They handcuff him to the cage as well. Flair hits a suplex as well, and then Hogan's back up. And you think, oh, he's going to beat up Flair. How's he going to tackle Sherri? How's he going to manage Sherri? Because, you can't hit... Oh, no, he just clotheslines her. Fair enough. And then you think, oh, maybe it's just a one-off. Nope. Power slam and a big boot. A bit much.
Just was you know what? Sherri, I'm going to be the Chris Brown before Chris Brown was Chris Brown. So you know what, Sherri? Come here. Bam! Clothesline. I was like, what? Wait, what? Picks her up. Bam! Just bam! I was like, wait. How did we get from here to here, Hogan? Hogan, I kind of want to imagine Hogan just was he forgot just the adrenaline was rushing through his veins, and he only realized it after he hit the big boot. He was like, oh no.
That excuse doesn't hold up in court. I like this match. I thought it was really good. At the end as well, Hulk Hogan, the masked man's attacking him, and it's unmasked to be Brother Bruti. Oh my god. Oh, were you surprised?
I think we perfectly talked about this beforehand. It was just who sat down at their desk and thought, I think Brother Bruti would be such a good like antagonist for Hogan, for Starrcade. I think that'd be so good for him to come out.
Main event of their biggest show, Brutus Beefcake versus Hulk Hogan.
Like, like if it was me at that time, God, why would you do that and not do like Sting versus Hogan at the show? Like, build that one up. That should have been your big thing. Or, you know what, even better? Shouldn't have even given Hogan the champion immediately. Should have kept Ric Flair as champion and built Hogan there. And when Starrcade comes, and when, you know, that time comes, have Starrcade Hogan versus Flair live on the on like their WrestleMania. How, that would have been so good.
They really wanted to hurry Hulk Hogan up and speed run him through that company because he was already getting boos in this match. I heard like a couple of Hogan sucks. It wasn't as strong and overwhelming as it would become, but yeah, overall a very fun main event. It was. Yeah, sorry, Piggy, go on.
The Mr. Man character that Mr. T is, he's only Mr. Small.
Yeah, I can. Is he small though? He's quite.
Well, you can either interpret it as Mr. T is Mr. Small or Hulk Hogan is Mr. Small.
If Hogan was there, he'd be like, "No, I am Mr. Big. I am the big.
Mr. Brother.
I am him."
Tell you something, brother. I was once a Mr. Man character, brother. Jack. I was Mr. Big Brother. You wouldn't believe the 24-inch pythons that I laid down on Mr. Bumpy and Mr. Clumsy. Brother, let me tell you something, dude. When Mr. Bouncy came in, brother, the whole roof exploded. The Thunderdome, the Silver Dome, brother, it exploded because it was me and Mr. Bouncy in the main event, brother.
Ric Flair has to be Mr. Bump in this match, though. He's taking all the bumps for Hogan, yeah. So, because Mr. Men characters, it's not a binary thing. You know, there's so many. There's not just two Mr. Men. There's a variety of them. So we've got the world champion Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair must retire forever, and he never ever comes back to wrestling for a few months.
Ever.
For at least a couple of months, and then he'll be back as he dresses as a woman and beats up Sting, I want to say.
She's a stunt granny.
She is a stunt granny. It's not stunt granny at all. It's Ric friggin' Flair. But this main event, Hulk Hogan and Muhammad Ali celebrating, and I really enjoyed this match. It was simple. It was fun. It was your typical 80s main event between two wrestling legends. I liked it a lot. What did you think, Piggy, first?
I didn't really like it.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
I just never really a big Hogan fan, and don't really like Ric Flair. And it was a steel cage match, and they were beating up Mr. T. So
true.
Yeah.
But I just like the wackiness of it, I think. And what about you, Davian? What did you think?
Thought it was pure entertainment, basically. Watching this match, it's definitely a tale of its time. You have to really get into like the 80s like type of wrestling for this match. I feel if you don't, and you want all the some bit more, then people are not, they're not going to be really into it. But just because I am able to get into that mindset, I think all of us were, even though Piggy might have not been seeming so. I definitely was very much into this match, and I thought it was a pretty good match. Wasn't my match of the night though. I'm just realizing right now as I'm watching the match again, the main event. Hogan's skin sometimes looks like rubber.
He gets sweatier as it goes along, and he looks like a piece of he looks like he's bronzing and cooking during the match. Because when you've got you've put some roast beef on the barbecue, or that's a weird. I mean, it's pink at the moment. It's got pink and raw, and it's dry at the start. But then once the juices start flowing, it gets browner and stickier. And he looks like a very sticky man. Did Hulk Hogan towards the end of this match?
Yeah.
Earlier we were talking about cannibalism. Man, you perfectly were just talking about when you cook meat and you cook the meat and it turns brown and stuff like that.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna.
Implying here? What are you,
I'm saying if I took about.
Saying you killed my family.
I'm sorry. You were talking about eating pork pies, so.
Yeah, but I was eating vegan pork pies.
Okay. Well, I would take a bite out of Hulk Hogan's nice supple body. What did you think overall of the show? Let's ignore that. What did you think overall of the show?
Are you ready to review Raw?
No.
I wanted to dive and finish this show. I did not like it.
Any positives?
Damien, what did you think of the show?
I thought it was a pretty decent show. You boys were lucky since I originally had in mind because it's the Christmas, it's time Christmas. I was going to pick December to Dismember, so you guys are way lucky that I didn't pick that.
We got a kayfabe it. We got a kayfabe it. This episode.
It's not Christmas time.
It's March. Wink, wink.
Oh, damn! You're right. Yeah, guys, it's in March.
You're thinking for He was thinking for next Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about next Christmas because I really love torturing people. I can't frame this any better. Anyway, the show was decent. It wasn't as bad as I expected to be, just because when I was going in, I was thinking, just because like this time the shows could have been really bad. They could have been really weird, but you kind of somehow beat my expectations, not wildly. This show was kind of in a way of it's just kind of in like the middle of it's a show that you put on one time. It's like I've seen episodes of Raw that is better than this show. That's what it kind of to put it at. It has a really good main event, and it has Arn Anderson on the card versus Dustin Rhodes. We have Terry Funk's on the card. Vader's on the card. There's a lot of good guys on this card, but they're in matches that are either like meh or they're just decent. That's the problem with the show. The show can only be at its highest points decent, and its lowest show, that's what the lowest of the show kind of feels like. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would say that this is not a show I'd recommend to anyone ever. Like, it's fine though. It was nice to have on in the background, so to speak. Like, obviously I was watching it because I had to, but it was it was all right. Like, I did feel like some of the matches dragged, particularly the tag title match. The Open dragged quite a bit, but like you said, there were plenty of wrestlers on this card that I enjoy. So I love Vader, I love Arn Anderson, Terry Funk, Steve Austin. It's a good snapshot of 1994 before a lot of these guys became big household names, and it's interesting to look back on it and think about what it was like at the time. And the main event was just really fun wrestling stuff. You had Muhammad Ali, Mr. T, Hulk Hogan, and Ric Flair, like a solid 4 of the most recognisable names in martial arts, wrestling, what have you. Just a very interesting development of a main event, and yeah, 2 of the biggest stars in wrestling history. It's a simple match, but they did it better than anyone else at the time, so fair enough. But yeah, most of the show not really into, except for Arn Anderson versus Dustin Rhodes. Any final thoughts from you, Piggy? No, you just want to move on with your life. By the way, Halloween Havoc is what you paid for. This was like, you paid for this. You paid $30.
This is kind of like an episode of Raw now, if you kind of look at it.
Yeah, so, people call Raw boring or whatever. Like, back then, that's the kind of wrestling you'd have to pay for. You weren't getting Seth Rollins versus Riddle on free TV. You were getting Sting versus Tom Brondon or whatever his name is. Thank you for listening. Obviously, I will put the links to Davian's stuff into the description. Hope you enjoyed. We might even have you back and you can torture us again with some more wrestling nonsense, because that's the whole vibe of this show. Did you have a good time, Davian?
Yes, you bet. And I already know that if I'm ever on again, which I think I will, wink wink, I already know the next show I definitely want us to review.
And what is it?
Fatal 4-Way.
Yo, that'll take me back. I really want to watch that show, Piggy. You're going to love it.
Yay!
Woo! The Usos pay-per-view debut. Oh, mwah. That is it for this episode of Pigs and Fergs. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. And comment down below what you thought of this wrestling nonsense. Bye, everyone. Say goodbye, Piggy and Davian.
Hulk Hogan, dick.